needs.
And I just want to jump in right here.
Yes.
And looking at the map data, because I wanted to get a take from all of the teachers, because I know we have a lot going on. We have kids, that's out. And looking at the fall map scores,
Mm-hmm.
um, it was just, we have a lot of kids. We had 337 kids to take the map K through 6. And out of those 337 kids that took the map, in reading, only 29 kids were proficient. And in math, we had only 26 kids that were proficient. And that's K through sixth grade. So in second grade, in reading, it's saying that you only have 4 kids in second grade that are proficient in reading. And you only have 7 kids in second grade that are proficient in math. And so we know, so there's something wrong with that picture. Because
Right.
when you have the whole school, because everybody can't be tier two. And
Right.
see, when you have the whole school that's in the beginning stage, we got it. That's why we're having all of these trainings and providing all this training. Of course, with quarantines, I'm keeping a track of that. We got kids that are in, we got kids that are out, and I know everybody is working hard, doing what they supposed to do. But we got to figure out and fill these gaps within the 8 hours that we do have them, especially with the ones that's out. And so that's why we have the exact path, and there'll be a follow up training with that because it's going to help with those gaps, with those interventions. So when those kids are working on exact path, it's helping them with those prereqs that they don't have for the things that you're teaching for Georgia Standards of Excellence. So we just got to make sure that we get those kids. And I know it's hard, so I wanted to ask each of you, and you can type it in the chat. What do you see is your challenge with the work time? Because that's where we're going to get the most bang for our buck. Because the kids have to be actively working. Because once they take a test, if they're conditioned to not doing any work or being held accountable for work throughout the year, when they take that test, they're going to rush through it. They'll take in about 10 minutes. Some will do 5 minutes. And it's I'm able to see those kids now they only use 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So I'm pulling all of that so that I can have a talk with the kids about the time that they take. But during class, we want to get them out into those stations so that they're doing independent work. We want to make sure that the teachers are touching each kid daily. And I know it's challenging, so I want to know from you all so that we can best support you. What is the challenge that you see within your classroom as far as the work time?
I'm going to tell you that I've done centers before, and it's always been challenging trying to figure out how to do them and coordinate it all. But I went ahead and yesterday I set it up this past weekend where I have reading and math rotations. And I tried it out today, and I've got like a word work center. I got an independent reading center. I have exact path reading that they do, and then the teacher table. And then with math, I'm doing math fact fluency center. I'm doing the teacher table and exact path math. And I think there might be one other thing. It's still in the works, but I mean, I did reading today, and I was just like, all right, because you can get the slides free on Teacher Pay Teacher, and I shared it with Rachel, or not Rachel, but I shared it with Miss Akins yesterday because she was at school with me, and so we're trying that out, and I liked it. It worked a lot better than when they're just writing and doing a response from the read aloud, and I was able to see 3 reading groups for 20 minutes apiece, because right when I got done with that read aloud, I got done with the interactive read aloud or the shared reading we did. Then we went right into reading group, and I had more time to meet with reading groups, and they were all excited about hearing the little timer go off, and they got to transition to the next center. So I think they're more interested now because if they're doing one thing the whole time while you're teaching a reading group, it's just too long.
It's too long. And they'll find something to do, and you'll find that that's when you're going to have most of your behaviors, because if they're sitting there, that's just like us. We can't sit for a long period of time. We're going to find something to do with that time. And so to kind of eliminate it, it's almost like when you give them a brain break, every 15 minutes or every 20 minutes, they're rotating and they're moving and they're not doing the same thing. And that's where we're going to see an increase, because now they can actually work independently. Is it easy? No, not at first because we have to train them. Just like we all have to be trained in doing something, we have to train them on how they supposed to rotate, what they do when they're in the activity, and give them guidelines.
Do y'all have a better understanding? And I know it's kind of stuff that we already know, but sometimes you have to be reminded. We have to be reminded so that we're making sure that we're being explicit. Um, I'm quite sure that y'all knew a lot of those things, but if we're gonna ever raise the bar for our students, it starts now, and we just have to kind of like reiterate over and over again our expectations for our students, and as well as expectations of teachers, because we have to raise the rigor. We have to we have to start seeing progress and growth. Dr. Landrum, you have anything you'd like to say?
I don't. I like the slides on success criteria, though. The research that you found, I thought those were really good points. I like those a lot.
Thank you. Ms. Jackson, Ms. Reeves, y'all have anything?
Yeah, I was just going to chime in just to ask them. I know we went over the opening, we went over the workshop model in its entirety, and now we're looking at the success criteria. How do you all feel about where you are with everything? How do you feel? What do you think? How do you feel your students are going to respond? What are you seeing now that you're adding these things to your instruction?
I know go ahead, Miss.
Oh, you can go. I'll wait.
I've been doing the workshop model, so they are well adjusted to that. I just think we need to work on success criteria a little bit more. Mm-hmm. They know what they should be learning. I think they get that point of it, but maybe giving them a checklist to make sure they following each step. But they pretty much know how the day gonna run. That's something we've been doing. The gradual release.
Okay.
For me, I haven't been using, well, not I haven't been using, but the words I can. Mm-hmm. I've been using like you would be able to. Mm-hmm. But now I'm starting to use I can and we are learning. So I guess they're getting that, I can, and this is what I'm going to be doing for the day. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And I was going to say, yeah, same thing. They're kind of adjusted to the way our classroom runs. I guess one thing for me is just making sure that they understand exactly what's being asked, because we cover so many different standards. So sometimes they'll get confused and I'll go, all right, so what are we learning about today? And I'll just ask them and they go, World War I. I said, well, are we talking about World War I or are we talking about afterwards? Because this is the Roaring 20s. So what are we learning about the Roaring 20s? And so just making sure that they're not confusing the substandards. Like we have one big one, but they're broken down. So some of them will relay back to like the day before, 2 days before. And I'll go, yes, we are learning about that, but this is what we're doing today. So just making sure that they're keeping them kind of separated, but knowing that they all go together.
Mm-hmm. And what are you seeing with your students, like independently, like during work time? Do you see them, their stamina increasing with doing independent tasks, or do you see them constantly, you give them a task and they're like, I need help before they even get started? Like how is the independency starting to come along with the kids working?
They are becoming more independent, but as soon as I think that we're on a good, as far as classes, we're going good, one class to get quarantined, and it just set us all back. So they are becoming more independent, but at first, Lord, it was help. And they still, even yesterday, they were working in groups. They still don't have, I think, they don't have confidence in their peers.
And that's what we got to, right.
And that's what we got to start it, because they're working in groups, but they don't, if they're not working with a certain peer that they know that's real high, they still gonna ask me before they ask their classmates, because they don't have confidence in their peers.
Okay. And then most of the time too, they want to work by themselves, saying that the other person that they're working with is not helping, or they're doing all the work. So most of the times they want to work independently by themselves.
The ones that's like in that developing, that's increasing. Now the ones that still, don't really care, they definitely want to work in groups. But the ones that's really trying and really understand it,
they
want to work by themselves, because of the confidence in their peers.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And Ms. Jackson, knowing that you're here, the map data that you gave us yesterday, we're missing some students.
I can't hear you.
We're missing some students.
You're missing some?
Yes.
That's
At
straight
least
from,
two.
that's from the map. What I pulled was the beginning. That those students, you need to write, I pulled the beginning map data from the chart. So you go in and I just pulled all of the kids that were from the fall that were at the beginning, and I pulled the ones that were at developing so that you can look at it. Now, are those students new? Did they take the map? Because they may not be in there if they didn't take it during the fall. Because that's
They did.
this year.
On the sheet you gave us, we have beginning, proficient, and developing.
You don't have proficient in
Yeah.
there. It shows they are almost to proficient, but they're on developing. So it's going to show you those ones that you can bump. So everything that's in red, that's why I color coded it so it went confusion. That's what we're going to talk about. Everything that's in red are all those kids who scored in the red during the fall, but they're right there, and they're showing you that they can get to proficient based on what we do.
Oh, because once.
It's about 2 or 3 in there that says that.
Oh, because I'm seeing one student that's proficient.
Because I gave you the bubble kids, because we want to take, if we take the red kids and we can push them to that next level of developing, and then we take the developing kids that are right next, the bubble kids that are right next to the green, we want to bump them. And then everybody that's in the middle, if we're doing that for the bottom and the top, they can automatically move.
Okay, so the one proficient that is here, that one is right at developing or at the end of developing?
They're at developing, but they were almost right there at proficient.
Okay.
So that's why we want to give them what they need, pay close attention to them. We want to feed into what they need so that we can give them that throughout before they take it again in the winter.
Okay.
And that's what we're going to dig into on Friday.
Okay.
So that's what I've been playing with, digging into those numbers and seeing those skills, seeing where we can get with those kids. Because if we can bump those kids, that's what we want to do. We want to show progress. We want to get those kids moving in the right direction. We don't want them going backwards.
Right.
Out of that. And so that's why I was holding up this card, because that attendance thing with the quarantine, we're going to also look at absences. I've been pulling that, so I've been tracking it to show how many days the kids have been quarantined, how many days the teachers have been quarantined, because all that is going to affect what we do, and we can see how we can catch those kids up in Saturday school. That's why I gave you that list for the kids that are going to attend Saturday school. So the focus this year is 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade for Saturday school.
Okay.
And then it also shows you the time, because that's going to be an issue. Like some kids took 7 minutes to take the test. Those particular kids, I am going to personally call them into my office and show them, okay, 7 minutes. We need you to do your best. Like, take your time, because you got it, but you are not taking the time that is required. That's why I say, where are they on that independency, that building that stamina in the classroom? Because that's what I'm seeing. A lot of them 7 minutes, 10 minutes, and they just clicking and they done, just to say that they're done. And that comes back to that confidence, building that confidence.
Right.
And we're going to share out a Google survey with you all to see, like PLs, like what do you think you need? Because that's what we need from you all too. What do you think you need in the classroom to help us to continue? So now that we went through the workshop model, what is something that you need? And what I heard from 5th grade is, how do we build self-confidence in kids? And we have some things for that. So I think that's going to be one of our PLs, is building that self-confidence. Even building the self-confidence with the peers so that they trust the partners that they're working with. Because there's a sheet like assigning duties and responsibilities, and let them assign it. Like they know their peers, okay, y'all assign the duties. What do you think this person would do? And so just getting them to build that, build the self-confidence, and that's that accountability piece too. So I think that's going to be one of our next PLs.
And I saw that Ms. Reeves said that she think the I can statements will help with that. And if they continually say that I can do this, I can do that, that's like building self-confidence. That's motivating them, getting them encouraged. Also using that success criteria piece, where you're breaking it apart, and like almost, I heard somebody say they're going to start using checklists and rubrics. That's going to help build their confidence too, in themselves and in their peers. Because if everyone has a checklist or everyone has a rubric that you all are following, that'll give those students who maybe not so, confident, a little bit more confidence, because they know exactly what's expected of them. And if we constantly and we're being consistent with it, I think it's going to catch on. And the more you do it and the more that you're consistent, the more students are going to